Hello and welcome. This is Jennifer McGuire. One of my favorite things to do on my YouTube channel is to feature guest artists, and I haven't done so in a while, so I figured it was time. Today I am going to share the work of Jessica Frost-Ballas. She is incredibly talented. She does a variety of card styles, which is great, and they all have like this vivid color to it that's just beautiful. She also often does interactive cards, so I asked her to do a Bendy card tutorial for you today. It's a unique kind of interactive card that I think you might like. She's going to share a lot of other tips along the way. Here you can see some of the beautiful cards that you can find over on her blog, which I'll link to below. Let's go ahead and get started.
Hello, Jessica here from All the Sparkle, and I am so honored to be a guest on Jennifer McGuire's blog today. Full disclosure here, I might have fallen off my chair when Jennifer messaged me, and I'm still pinching myself to make sure this isn't a dream. I love creating interactive cards, and today I'll be showing you how to create a Bendy card with distressing blending and mirror image stamping. I used the adorable Arctic penguins from Mama Elephant to create a fun holiday scene, but you could easily change the critters or the sentiments to create a variety of cards. To start, I blend distress inks onto a piece of Strathmore watercolor paper. I start with my darkest color, Seedless Preserves, and blend most of the ink off onto scratch paper before bringing my blending tool to my watercolor paper. I want a really soft wash of color, so I use a very light hand to blend the inks onto the paper in small circles. Next, I blend on Salty Ocean, and then finish the sky with Worn Lipstick Distress ink. Next, I use several of the stitched hillside borders from Lawn Fawn to die cut the background and one swinging panel of my card. Each swinging panel is 5.5 inches long, but I vary the height of the hill on each panel. I use a piece of painter's tape to hold the dies in place before running them through my Big Shot. I also die cut a smaller hill from vellum for my second swinging panel. I adhere the wavy hill to the background panel to create a snowy mountain for some of my penguins. This hill is just part of the background panel, it won't bend. I line the swinging panels over the background panel to make sure I'm happy with the way they look before moving on. Then I score a vertical line 1/4 inch from one side of each panel. On the opposite side, I estimate a vertical line 1/4 inch from the edge and mark it with a pencil. I freehand draw a notch from those lines and cut them out before erasing all the pencil marks. I want to add one more interactive element to the card, so I use one of the slider dies from Lawn Fawn to die cut a sliding element on the white cardstock swinging panel. Next, I stamp the first half of the sentiment from Mama Elephant's Jingle Greetings onto the vellum swinging panel using my Misty to line up the stamp. I ink the sentiment with Versamark and heat emboss it with silver embossing powder. Before I can attach the swinging panels to the background panel, I need to cut slits for the notches. I line up the white cardstock panel 1.5 inches from the right side of the background panel and mark each edge of the notch with a pencil. Then I line up the vellum panel 2 inches from the left side of the white cardstock panel and mark each edge of the notch. I use a ruler to guide my craft knife and carefully cut a slit on each panel. I erase the pencil marks before making sure that the notches fit into the slits. At this point, you can widen the slits if necessary. Next, I adhere the swinging panels to the background panel, folding along the score lines. Before stamping the rest of the sentiment on the background panel, I lightly trace the edge of the sliding element onto the background so that I can make sure to stamp the sentiment under that pencil line. I prep the paper with my powder tool, then stamp the rest of the sentiment with a Versamark. I heat emboss the sentiment with the same silver embossing powder, and then again I erase any pencil marks and use a Swiffer cloth to clean off the eraser bits and any stray embossing powder. Now it's critter time. I'm going to color my penguins with Copic markers, so I stamp the penguins with Memento Tuxedo Black ink, which is Copic friendly. I want some of the penguins to be visible from both sides of my swinging panels, so I need to do a little mirror image stamping. There are many methods for getting a mirror image, but my favorite is to use the backside of a large clear stamp. I start by placing the large wood grain stamp from Lawn Fawn upside down on the lid of my MISTI, so that the design is touching the lid and the back of the stamp is facing up. Then I line up the penguins design side up inside my MISTI. I remove the foam layer from my MISTI, ink up the penguins, and then close the lid so that the image transfers to the back of the wood grain stamp. I open the lid and ink the penguins one more time to make sure I get a good impression. Then I remove the penguins, replace the foam layer, and put a piece of white cardstock on top. I close the lid and transfer the image to the paper. The images aren't quite as crisp as normal stamping, but they can be easily fixed with a black Copic multiliner. I use the other penguins as a reference and fill in with the multiliner as needed. Then I color the penguins with Copic markers. I use BV13 and BV17 for the ice skates, Y18 and 19 for their beaks, Y32 for their bellies, C0 for shading, and R000 for a little blush on their cheeks. Off camera, I cut all my penguins with my Scan and Cut, and added a little Spectrum Noir clear sparkle to their ice skates and cheeks. And now it's time to build my scene. I add adhesive to both sides of my skating penguin and adhere him to the vellum panel. I add my sliding element by adhering both sides of the penguin with foam glue dots. Off camera, I ended up adding a second glue dot so the penguin would slide back and forth instead of spinning. Finally, I adhere the rest of the penguins and insert the notches of the swinging panels into the slits to create my bendy card. Off camera, I adhered my background panel to a white card base using a double layer of foam tape, which allowed room for the notch to fit into the slit of the background panel without having to cut into the card base. I don't mind taking a little extra time to create the mirror images because I really love how finished the critters look from both sides, but you can easily skip that step or hide the critters fully behind the panels to avoid needing a mirror image. To mail the card, pull the notches out of the slits and then the card folds flat. If you don't mind having the slit on the inside of the card base, you can adhere the background panel to a card base with regular adhesive, cut the slit through both layers, and your card will be even flatter. This isn't the fastest card to create, but it's definitely one that will make your recipient smile. I hope you enjoyed this video tutorial and that you will try making a bendy card of your own. Again, I want to thank Jennifer for inviting me to share a video with you, and thanks so much for watching. Have a fabulous day.
Thanks so much, Jessica. I appreciate you sharing this video. In the middle are two things that might be helpful to you. We have Jessica's YouTube channel, which you can check out, and also a mirror stamping video that I did a while back. Also, you can find the supplies she used in my description below or over on my blog. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you soon.